Judges, chapter 6. Afterward, the children of Israel committed wickedness in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord gave them into the hands of Midian 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel, and because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them dens in the mountains, and caves, and strongholds. When Israel had sown, then came up the Midianites, the Amalekites, and they of the east, and came upon them, and camped by them, and destroyed the fruit of the earth, even till thou come unto Gaza, and left no food for Israel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor ass. For they went up, and their cattle, and came with their tents, as grasshoppers in multitude, so that they and their camels were without number, and they came into the land to destroy it. So was Israel exceedingly impoverished by the Midianites. Therefore the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. And when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord because of the Midianites, the Lord sent unto the children of Israel a prophet, who said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I have brought you up from Egypt, and have brought you out of the house of bondage. And I have delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and have cast them out before you, and given you their land. And I said unto you, I am the Lord your God. Fear not the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell. But ye have not obeyed my voice. And the angel of the Lord came, and sat under the oak, which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash, the father of the Abiezrites. And his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress, to hide it from the Midianites. Then the angel of the Lord appeared unto him, and said unto him, The Lord is with thee, thou valiant man. To whom Gideon answered, Ah, my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this come upon us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us of? And said, Did not the Lord bring us out of Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us, and delivered us into the hand of the Midianites. And the Lord looked upon him, and said, Go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel out of the hands of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? And he answered him, Ah, my Lord, whereby shall I save Israel? Behold, my father is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. Then the Lord said unto him, I will therefore be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites, as one man. And he answered him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thy sight, then show me a sign, that thou talkest with me. Depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee, and bring mine offering, and lay it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again. Then Gideon went in, and made ready a kid, and unleavened bread of an ephah of flour, and put the flesh in a basket, and put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it. And the angel of God said unto him, Take the flesh and the unleavened bread, and lay them upon this stone, and pour out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that he held in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened bread. And there arose up fire out of the stone, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened bread. So the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight. And when Gideon perceived that it was an angel of the Lord, Gideon then said, Alas, my Lord God, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face, I shall die. And the Lord said unto him, Peace be unto thee, fear not, thou shalt not die. Then Gideon made an altar there unto the Lord, and called it Jehovah Shalom. Unto this day it is in Ophrah, of the father of the Abiezrites. And the same night the Lord said unto him, Take thy father's young bullock, and another bullock of 7 years old, and destroy the altar of Baal that thy father hath, and cut down the grove that is by it, and build an altar unto the Lord thy God upon the top of this rock, in a plain place, and take the second bullock, and offer a burnt offering with the wood of the grove which thou shalt cut down. Then Gideon took 10 men of his servants, and did as the Lord bade him. But because he feared to do it by day for his father's household and the men of the city, he did it by night. And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was broken, and the grove cut down that was by it, and the second bullock offered upon the altar that was made. Therefore they said one to another, Who hath done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, hath done this thing. Then the men of the city said unto Joash, Bring out thy son, that he may die, for he hath destroyed the altar of Baal, and hath also cut down the grove that was by it. And Joash said unto all that stood by him, Will ye plead Baal's cause, or will ye save him? He that will contend for him, let him die or the morning. If he be God, let him plead for himself against him that hath cast down his altar. And in that day was Gideon called Jerubbaal, that is, Let Baal plead for himself, because he hath broken down his altar. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites, and they of the east, were gathered together, and went and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet. And Abiezer was joined with him, and he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, which was also joined with him. And he sent messengers unto Asher, and to Zebulun, and to Naphtali, and they came up to meet them. Then Gideon said unto God, If thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the threshing place. If the dew come on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth, then shall I be sure that thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said. And so it was, for he rose up early on the morrow, and thrust the fleece together, and wringed the dew out of the fleece, and filled a bowl of water. Again Gideon said unto God, Be not angry with me, that I may speak once more. Let me prove once again, I pray thee, with the fleece. Let it now be dry only upon the fleece, and let dew be upon all the ground. And God did so the same night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew on all the ground. Judges chapter 7. Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, rose up early, and all the people that were with him, and pitched beside the well of Herod, so that the host of the Midianites was on the north side of them, in the valley by the hill of Moreh. And the Lord said unto Gideon, The people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel make their vaunt against me, and say, Mine hand hath saved me. Now therefore proclaim in the audience of the people, and say, Whoso is timorous or fearful, let him return, and depart early from Mount Gilead. And there returned of the people which were at Mount Gilead 22,000, so 10,000 remained. And the Lord said unto Gideon, The people are yet too many. Bring them down unto the water, and I will try them for thee there. And of whom I say unto thee, This man shall go with thee, the same shall go with thee. And of whomsoever I say unto thee, This man shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. So he brought down the people unto the water. And the Lord said unto Gideon, As many as lap the water with their tongues, as a dog lappeth, them put by themselves, and every one that shall bow down his knees to drink, put apart. And the number of them that lapped by putting their hands to their mouths were 300 men. But all the remnant of the people kneeled down upon their knees to drink water. Then the Lord said unto Gideon, By these 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into thine hand. and let all the other people go, every man unto his place. So the people took victuals with them, and their trumpets, and he sent all the rest of Israel, every man unto his tent, and retained the 300 men, and the host of Midian was beneath him in a valley. And the same night the Lord said unto him, Arise, get thee down unto the host, for I have delivered it into thine hand. But if thou fear to go down, then go thou and Purah thy servant down to the host, and thou shalt hearken what they say, and so shall thine hands be strong to go down unto the host. Then went he down, and Purah his servant, unto the outside of the soldiers that were in the host. And the Midianites, and the Amalekites, and all they of the east, lay in the valley like grasshoppers in multitude, and their camels were without number, as the sand which is by the seaside for multitude. And when Gideon was come, behold, a man told a dream unto his neighbor, and said, Behold, I dreamed a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread tumbled from above into the host of Midian, and came into a tent, and smote it, that it fell, and overturned it, that the tent fell down. And his fellow answered, and said, This is nothing else, save the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. For into his hand hath God delivered Midian, and all the host. When Gideon heard the dream told, and the interpretation of the same, he worshipped, and returned unto the host of Israel, and said, Up, for the Lord hath delivered into your hand the host of Midian. And he divided the 300 men into 3 bands, and gave every man a trumpet in his hand with empty pitchers, and lamps within the pitchers. And he said unto them, Look on me, and do likewise, when I come to the side of the host, even as I do, so do you. When I blow with a trumpet, and all that are with me, blow ye with trumpets also on every side of the host, and say, For the Lord, and for Gideon. So Gideon and the 100 men that were with him came unto the outside of the host, in the beginning of the middle watch. And they raised up the watchmen, and they blew with their trumpets, and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. And the 3 companies blew with trumpets, and brake the pitchers, and held the lamps in their left hands, and the trumpets in their right hands, to blow withal. And they cried, The sword of the Lord, and of Gideon. And they stood, every man in his place round about the host, and all the host ran, and cried, and fled. And the 300 blew with trumpets, and the Lord set every man's sword upon his neighbor, and upon all the host. So the host fled to Beth-hashitah in Zererah, and to the border of Abel-meholah unto Tabbath. Then the men of Israel, being gathered together out of Naphtali, and out of Asher, and out of all Manasseh, pursued after the Midianites. And Gideon sent messengers unto all Mount Ephraim, saying, Come down against the Midianites, and take before them the waters unto Beth-barah and Jordan. Then all the men of Ephraim gathered together, and took the waters unto Beth-barah and Jordan. And they took 2 princes of the Midianites, Oreb and Zeeb, and slew Oreb upon the rock Oreb, and slew Zeeb at the winepress of Zeeb, and pursued the Midianites, and brought the heads of Oreb and Zeeb to Gideon beyond Jordan. Judges chapter 8. Then the men of Ephraim said unto him, Why hast thou served us thus, that thou calledst us not, when thou wentest to fight with the Midianites? And they chid with him sharply, to whom he said, What have I now done in comparison of you? Is not the gleaning of grapes of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer? God hath delivered into your hands the princes of Midian, Oreb, and Zeeb. And what was I able to do in comparison of you? And when he had thus spoken, then their spirits abated toward him. And Gideon came to Jordan to pass over, he and the 300 men that were with him, weary, yet pursuing them. And he said unto the men of Succoth, Give, I pray you, morsels of bread unto the people that follow me, for they be weary, that I may follow after Zebah and Zalmunna, kings of Midian. And the princes of Succoth said, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in thine hands, that we should give bread unto thine army? Gideon then said, Therefore when the Lord hath delivered Zebah and Zalmunna into mine hand, I will tear your flesh with thorns of the wilderness and with briars. And he went up thence to Penuel, and spake unto them likewise. And the men of Penuel answered him as the men of Succoth answered. And he said also unto the men of Penuel, When I come again in peace, I will break down this tower. Now Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karkor, and their hosts with them about 15,000, all that were left of all the hosts of them of the east. For there was slain 120,000 men that drew swords. And Gideon went through them that dwelt in tabernacles on the east side of Nobah and Jogbehah, and smote the host, for the host was careless. And when Zebah and Zalmunna fled, he followed after them, and took the 2 kings of Midian, Zebah and Zalmunna, and discomfited all the host. So Gideon, the son of Joash, returned from battle, the sun being yet high, and took a servant of the men of Succoth, and inquired of him. And he wrote to him the princes of Succoth, and the elders thereof, even 77 men. And he came unto the men of Succoth, and said, Behold, Zebah and Zalmunna, by whom ye upbraided me, saying, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna already in thine hands, that we should give bread unto thy weary men? Then he took the elders of the city, and thorns of the wilderness and briars, and did tear the men of Succoth with them. Also he brake down the tower of Penuel, and slew the men of the city. Then said he unto Zebah and Zalmunna, What manner of men were they, whom ye slew at Tabor? And they answered, As thou art, so were they. Every one was like the children of a king. And he said, They were my brethren, even my mother's children. As the Lord liveth, if ye had saved their lives, I would not slay you. Then he said unto Jether, his firstborn son, Up, and slay them. But the boy drew not his sword, for he feared, because he was yet young. Then Zebah and Zalmunna said, Rise thou, and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is his strength. And Gideon arose, and slew Zebah and Zalmunna, and took away the ornaments that were on their camels' necks. Then the men of Israel said unto Gideon, Reign thou over us, both thou and thy son, and thy son's son, for thou hast delivered us out of the hand of Midian. And Gideon said unto them, I will not reign over you, neither shall my child reign over you, but the Lord shall reign over you. Again Gideon said unto them, I would desire a request of you, that you would give me every man the earrings of his prey. For they had golden earrings, because they were Ishmaelites. And they answered, We will give them. And they spread a garment, and did cast therein every man the earrings of his prey. And the weight of the golden earrings that he required was 1,700 shekels of gold, beside collars and jewels, and purple raiment that was on the kings of Midian, and beside the chains that were about the camels' necks. And Gideon made an ephod thereof, and put it in Ophrah his city, and all Israel went a whoring there after it, which was the destruction of Gideon and his house. Thus was Midian brought low before the children of Israel, so that they lifted up their heads no more. And the country was in quietness 40 years in the days of Gideon. Then Jerubbaal the son of Joash went, and dwelt in his own house. And Gideon had 70 sons begotten of his body, for he had many wives. And his concubine that was in Shechem bare him a son also, whose name he called Abimelech. So Gideon the son of Joash died in a good age, and was buried in the sepulchre of Joash, his father, in Ophrah, of the father of the Abiezrites. But when Gideon was dead, the children of Israel turned away, and went a-whoring after Baal, and made Baal-berith their god. And the children of Israel remembered not the Lord their God, which had delivered them out of the hands of all their enemies on every side. Neither showed they mercy on the house of Jerubbaal, or Gideon, according to all the goodness which he had showed unto Israel,